When you think of a police officer, what do you see? You might picture a high-speed chase, or a detective solving a tough case. These men and women in blue are our frontline defenders. They run toward danger when everyone else runs away. They are the ones who answer the call when there's nowhere else to turn. Every single day they face the unknown to protect our communities. They are a shield for the innocent. They are a symbol of hope for the lost. They swear an oath to serve and protect, and that promise doesn't have exceptions. It's a promise they keep, often at great personal risk for total strangers. But not all emergencies involve sirens and flashing lights. Some of the most important battles are fought behind closed doors, in the quiet of a home that is supposed to be a safe place. These are the battles against fear. These are the battles against control. This is a different kind of crime, one that leaves scars you can't always see. When someone is trapped in that prison, they need a hero. When we hear the words domestic abuse, our minds often paint a specific picture. We think of a woman in danger, and it is true, countless women suffer in silence and need our help. We must always fight for them, we must believe them. But the truth is bigger and more complicated than that. The darkness of an abusive relationship can fall upon anyone. It doesn't matter if you are a man, it doesn't matter if you are a woman, it doesn't matter how strong you look, it doesn't matter how tough you seem. Pain is pain, fear is fear. For men, asking for help can feel impossible. Society has told them for generations that they must be strong. They are told not to show weakness. So when a man finds himself in a relationship where he is the one being controlled, threatened, hurt, he often feels a deep sense of shame. He might think, who would ever believe me? It was a cold Tuesday night when the call came into the 911 dispatch. The voice on the other end was a man's, barely a whisper. He said his name was Mark. He said he had locked himself in the bathroom. He said his girlfriend was outside the door, screaming and threatening to hurt him with a kitchen knife. The dispatcher kept him on the line, calm and steady, while she sent a unit to the address. Officer Miller, a 10-year veteran, arrived. He knew this could go from bad to worse in a split second. The yelling stopped. A woman opened the door, agitated but feigning calm. She denied having a weapon, telling the officer to leave. Officer Miller trusted his training and instincts. He said he needed to make sure everyone was safe and asked her into the hallway. As his partner spoke to her, Officer Miller went inside.
Mark, this is Officer Miller with the police.
The door opened to a pale, trembling young man. Officers separated them to get their stories and found the knife hidden under a sofa cushion. They arrested her for domestic assault with a weapon. For Mark, the nightmare ended. Officer Miller rescued him from a prison of fear. He was a hero. Sometimes the bars of the cage aren't made of iron. They're made of fear. This was the case for James, a young father trapped in a toxic relationship. His girlfriend didn't have to hit him. She didn't have to. Her weapons were words. She told him that if he ever tried to leave her, she would disappear with their daughter. She would tell everyone he was an unfit father and file false reports. For James, the thought of losing his little girl was worse than any physical pain. He stayed. He endured the constant yelling, insults, and control. When she locked him out while the child cried inside, he was desperate and called the police. He was so scared and ashamed he could barely speak to the dispatcher. He worried they'd assume he was the aggressor. When Sergeant Davis arrived, he didn't jump to conclusions. He listened. First, he spoke with James outside, letting him tell his whole story without interruption. James showed text messages that backed up his claims. When Sergeant Davis calmly asked specific questions, her story began to fall apart. He ensured James was able to get inside to his daughter and provided resources. He empowered a father to safely escape a toxic trap. He didn't just solve a dispute, he gave James tools to protect his rights. He empowered a father to safely escape a toxic trap. Not all abuse leaves bruises. Sometimes the deepest control is over someone's wallet. This is called financial abuse, and it's a powerful way to trap someone. Take the story of David. He was a hard worker earning a good salary, but he never saw a penny of it. His girlfriend insisted all his paychecks be deposited into her account. He received a tiny allowance. He had to beg for small things. He felt trapped and embarrassed. She convinced him this was normal, but it wasn't. It was calculated control. The truth started to come to light because of an unrelated incident. His car was broken into. The responding officer referred the case to Detective Chen for follow-up. During the interview, Chen noticed David's anxiety about repair costs and gently asked about finances. Something about the detective's calm manner made him feel safe. He slowly told his story. Detective Chen recognized the signs of financial abuse and began a quiet investigation. He helped David open a secret account and redirect his paycheck so he could save without detection. When he had saved enough, David left and got his own apartment. Detective Chen's work didn't lead to an arrest, but it was a rescue all the same. He gave David tools to break free and reclaim his life. Sometimes the quiet work of a detective is the lifeline someone needs. Every couple argues, disagreements are normal. But there is a huge difference between a healthy argument and a toxic, abusive pattern. A toxic fight is about power and control. Dominate, belittle, demean. It's not about solving a problem, it's about winning at all costs. One of the biggest red flags is isolation, cutting you off from friends and family. A partner who demands to know where you are at all times and checks your phone is controlling, not caring. Constant criticism chips away at your self-esteem. Insults about your intelligence, job, appearance, hobbies, public humiliation and name-calling are emotional abuse. Look out for threats and intimidation, obvious or subtle. It could be threats to harm your pet, to spread lies at your job, or false accusations to take your children. A trauma bond forms when calm periods, apologies and gifts follow abuse, making it harder to leave. Recognizing these patterns is the first step. These are warning signs you need help. If you see isolation, constant criticism, threats and control, start planning your escape. Contact a hotline, tell a friend, a family member, or a coworker. You do not have to do this alone. People often ask a simple question. If it's so bad, why doesn't he just leave? That question shows a misunderstanding of how abuse works. Leaving is the most dangerous time for any victim. When an abuser loses control, danger often escalates. Threats can escalate, broken items or violence can follow. The fear is paralyzing. Abuse is cyclical. Periods of calm, gifts, apologies, they create a trauma bond. It's like an addiction to someone who is destroying you. Years of abuse shatter self-worth. Victims begin to believe the lies they're told. They might feel no one else would want them, and even that they deserve the abuse. Practical barriers, no money, no savings, fear of homelessness, make leaving a life or death calculation. That's why law enforcement and professionals are vital. They provide safety plans and resources. Shelters, counselors, legal advice can guide someone to safety and help break the trauma bond. Help can clear the fog and show a way forward. An officer who says, "This is not your fault," can challenge the abuser's narrative. Leaving is immense courage. It's walking away from a whole world and into a new one with a guide at your side. When police get involved in a domestic situation, their first job is to stop the immediate danger. They have to make sure everyone is safe right then and there. But their work doesn't end when the shouting stops. The next step is building a case. This is careful, detailed work. Photos, evidence bags, timeline building. Physical evidence can be a weapon, a broken door, smashed furniture, or photographed injuries. Officers photograph even the smallest marks, a scratch, a bruise, a red mark, because every detail matters. But when there are no physical signs, police must look deeper for emotional, financial, or psychological abuse. Detectives become expert interviewers. They speak with victims, abusers, neighbors, and subpoena phone and bank records. Threatening text messages, emails, bank statements can all show a pattern of coercive control. They look for a pattern, a consistent campaign of control and intimidation. This has to be done with care and respect. Victims are traumatized and reluctant to press charges. Officers build trust, explain the process, provide safety plans, and help get protective orders. It's not just about punishment, it's about giving the victim the protection of the law. A strong case and coordinated support say, "This stops now, you are safe." The stories we've shared are about more than just crime and rescue. They are stories about hope. They are about the moment when a person trapped in darkness finally sees a light. For Mark, James, David, that light was a police officer who listened and believed. They took action and served as a lifeline. They used their authority to protect, not punish, to reaffirm that everyone deserves to be safe and treated with dignity. Officers are trained to handle these sensitive situations with professionalism and compassion. If you are in immediate danger, call 911. If not, call your local police or a domestic violence hotline. Tell a friend, a family member, or a coworker. Reach out. There are people who want to help. There are shelters, counselors, and legal resources that can help you rebuild your life. The law can offer protection and a path forward. Making the call, telling your story, admitting you are scared, it is an act of bravery. You are not alone. There are heroes who will fight for you. No one should live in fear, especially not in their own home. Pick up the phone. There is always hope for a new beginning.